Okay, so we're moving right along here. We did take a look at the picture, the finished painting of some beautiful daisies and purple flowers and red flowers in a nice vase. So this is a more, real fun, simple painting to do. It's something where, you can maybe grab some photographs or pictures, watercolor paintings. You can kind of mix and match with flowers. It's really fun. I like to just take maybe different pictures, photographs, different resources and kind of mix them together to get like a nice composition of flowers, or set up flowers too as well. Sometimes I'll buy fresh flowers, or sometimes we'll, I have some plastic flowers that I bought from different big box stores that have the silk and plastic flowers. So sometimes I'll use those for like a guide to paint, but I'd rather work from fresh flowers. They seem to look, they're much more beautiful. Obviously, the real, natural fresh cut flowers. But sometimes I'll have just some silk ones at the house I keep around, and I'll sometimes just practice with and put those in a vase and paint from those too. But this particular exercise or small composition we're going to do, I'm just basically putting a couple different ideas from some pictures and some watercolor paintings together. So, but again, you're going to be working, of course, from the painting we just showed in the beginning here, which is the finished painting, and we're just kind of working, we're reverse engineering that painting right now as we go forward. So we'll just kind of, we'll get started, and we're going to and then we're going to do some and what's fun about flowers, we can paint some flowers exact and more precise, and then other flowers we can actually just so we don't always have to paint everything exact. Some will do more precise, some will do, so I'm trying to again follow what I see. And I'm just going to keep moving along here. I have some smaller flowers here, some yellow buttercup type flowers, and there's daisies here, and then we have a few really beautiful, colorful wildflowers, some red wildflowers. And you can put a small R if you want to. It'll be okay because we're going to be working from the finished painting, so it's a little bit easier. But and then we'll have some purplish flowers here. So the purple flowers I'm going to paint, I'll leave those kind of loose, and we'll splash for those and kind of just make them more carefree looking, and we're not going to get too detailed with those. And I'll just make some marks on the paper just to remember that I'm going to put those small flower shapes within those. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now, when we start painting this, you'll see that we're going to develop a lot of the flower shapes by negative shape painting, which is painting around the flowers to make them appear. So we're going to leave the white of the paper where our white daisies are, and then we'll put in the yellow buttercups here and there and the purple lilac flowers with paint. So we'll just we'll have fun. There's some red, beautiful red flowers too as well. So we're going to put those in a number of areas too. So we're going to have a nice, good-looking mixture of colors with our flowers here. So we'll make sure. And you don't like. Let's not. The thing is, let's not sweat the details when we do our pencil drawing. We're not going to sweat all the details and worry about, do I remember where the red flowers are, or the yellow buttercup flowers, or the white daisies, or the purple lilac flowers. We're not going to worry so much about that. We did draw them in here, and we drew them pretty, accurately, from what we're looking at. But it can sometimes get a little bit overwhelming to start to think once we're done with our pencil drawing, and then we're going to start going in and paint. We're going to get a little bit panicky, oh, am I going to remember where all these different colors are going to go with the different flowers? But as long as you have your reference painting, you'll have my reference painting that we had in the beginning, so you'll have that to use. And if you're doing something on your own too as well, you just keep referring back to your subject matter, whether it's your vase of flowers that you set up for a still life, or you're working from a photograph, or working from a painting, another painting from another watercolor artist, in a book, and so on. That's all. Just remembering to always reference back to your source material that you're using, and you'll be fine. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use my reference material I'm using, and then we'll continue on. So this is the pencil drawing, and then now we'll continue on, and we'll start doing the painting. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come right back. Okay, we just had our break after our pencil drawing. Now we're going to get back in and we're going to do some painting. So basically I'm going to use two brushes. I'll use the Charles Reed Escada Sable Round Brush, and I'll use my Alvaro Castañeda needlepoint brush too as well for some of the fine details. So with these two brushes, this painting should be fine. This is a number 8 needlepoint, and this is a I think this is a 6. Oh, it's a number 8. So they're both number 8. So a number 8 round and a number 8 needlepoint brush. So these two brushes will, that's all we're going to need for this painting, I think. Should be fine. And then we'll start with some greens. So we'll just mix up some greens here. Sap green, olive green. We'll put in a little French ultramarine blue and burnt sienna to make a little bit of a dark up here, just if we want to get some darker tonal values with our greens. We can kind of go into that, and some burnt umber even too as well. And I think that's good. We can put in some purple too. We'll make some purple over here and some cerulean blue and purple, which is Winsor & Newton ultramarine violet, my favorite purple as far as commercially available paint. And that should be good. So we put that little bit of burnt sienna and burnt umber to sort of just have a little bit of a toning down of the green a little bit, and a little bit of a darkening with the French ultramarine blue as well. And that will look pretty good. We'll get started with our paints, and we'll just start carefully placing our dark greens into the center mass of the flowers. Key here is what I feel would be is not making large spots of color, but sort of painting around the petals of the white daisies here. So I'm carefully painting around, so we're negative shape painting around the daisies, the petals of the daisies. And I'm carefully just going and just looking at carefully at the pencil drawing. And now I want to do a little bit of a change. So maybe I'll go with some sap green over here. I mean olive green, a little bit lighter, maybe a touch of cadmium lemon yellow, just for a little bit of a change in the tonal value. And I'm working around the center of the mass of flowers. And then I'll just maybe loosen up a little bit and do a couple splashes. That just helps me to kind of free up a little bit and not get so worried about every exact detail. And we'll go in with some more that lemony yellow. We're having fun here. That's the main thing. Have fun when we paint. We're not going to sweat every detail. And then you can kind of see we're already getting a nice feel of the bouquet of flowers and wildflowers inside this vase. Maybe a little bit of that blue and purple, cerulean blue and purple, to get some. And I'll just do some, kind of flick the color outwards a little bit. And then some green. So that's basically just wet and wet. Put some wet wash down, let it set for a couple of seconds or two, and then we go in with another different color and just tap it in there a little bit here and there, and it kind of diffuses nicely. And then we're going to go in with some of our purple for our lilac color, and we're going to do that. A couple splashes with that to get our details. And once we do that, we can let that set there for a few. A couple more splashes with the green. And then I'll start working again around the petals of the daisies over here. And we have some really nice kind of an alizarin crimson and a cadmium red mixture, maybe with a little bit of burnt umber for a change in tonal value in that red. And that's going to be there. We'll have a red there. So we'll have a couple beautiful red wildflowers here and a couple over here. So I'll start putting those in. And then I'll maybe change up and just go with straight cadmium red for a few. That always looks good too. Kind of doing a couple maybe darker in tonal value with maybe the mixture that we did, and then maybe just straight cadmium red for a few. Like that. Okay, so we have some really beautiful colors working here, and let's get some more greens, sap green. And French ultramarine blue. And I'll just get a couple feelings of stems. And we'll also work with our needlepoint brush in just a few. Leave some white paper within the flower arrangement. That looks good. And we're going to continue around our petals here. We're going to start to take some cadmium orange, cadmium yellow, and we'll put some of that cadmium yellow into the centers of our petals. Okay. And you can see that as we paint around those petals, it really starts to really look good. And I'll use a little bit of that cerulean blue and purple for some shadowing. So we'll have some light coming from the right side to the left. So we'll darken it up over here. And then we'll just slowly add some water to this edge and just kind of soften it. Maybe a little bit of raw sienna. Warm up that wash a little. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is take another break. We've been working, 10, 15 minutes now. Good time to take a break while we're working. Come back and look at it. It's also nice to let all this dry now, because then when we go in and do continual washes and small bits of our negative shape painting within this bouquet, we're getting there. But if we do some more painting here, it's better if it's a little drier. So if we let it dry a little while and then come back, we're going to do a lot better with doing the subsequent washes in here and continue on painting here. And we'll also paint around some of these flower shapes. But we're in good shape here. And we'll continue working. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll start to finish up the flower arrangement area, and we'll do some work on the table and the background a little bit, and then we should be done. So it's a really nice, quick painting to do. Fun, lots of colors, beautiful bouquet of flowers. Always looks great and for painting. And we'll get right back just after a few minutes of taking a break. All right, so we took a little break, and now we're going to come back and start working again. I just took maybe a 5 or 10 minute break, and that's enough that we let some of the paint just set up a little bit and dry just a touch, a little more. And we'll go in, we'll start doing a little more of the purple lilacs here. So let's use our purple splash. We'll get some splashing. And if we do that, that looks good. A little splashing, a little dabbing. And over here. All right, look, that looks good. And I'll use the needlepoint brush now. We'll mix up a little more green. straight green right out of the palette here, straight paint. There's a little tiny bit of water on it from rinsing off the brush, but other than that, it's pretty much straight paint. Maybe a little bit of the lighter green, so we use some cadmium lemon yellow with some of this mixed in it just to and I think that's gonna give a little more of that brighter feel. There's some and so I'll continue with that cadmium lemon yellow. And then some darker green here, so we can go a little bit. And I'm painting around some of these petals. So some of the flowers we really describe, and we do our negative shade painting around most of the flower. And then some of these other flowers here, these daisies, we let them sort of disappear into the outer border of the bouquet so that they kind of have that lost and found look, which looks really good. So I guess what we're trying to avoid is taking every flower and painting around every flower, negative shade painting around every flower. We're trying to sort of, some flowers we detail quite a bit, and then others we just let them go and let them sort of, vibrate and, disappear into the white of the paper around the edges here and around the bouquet areas. So we're not trying to, if we leave a little bit of mystery to the flowers, we're in pretty good shape. And I think we've pretty much, I think we can do a little more over this daisy here up here. We can do a little more there. And then we just follow the shape of the flower. So I'll just take my brush, do a couple practice spin, moves, and then, so I'm just looking at my pencil, drawing and kind of following over the top with my brush stroke, with my brush. And I'll get a little more of a mix here with some burnt umber. And I just do a few of the stems and things around the outer portion of the painting. It kind of looks good to do a few straight and then a few kind of, curvy with the stems and forms of the flower bouquet. That looks pretty good. So we get the feel of just a lot of, beautiful wildflowers in here and daisies, and it has a nice look to it. It's kind of very fun and free looking. And then we'll work on back with our round brush. We'll do some shadowing. So I use some purple and some blue, purple, blue, some raw umber for our shadow. And with shadows, the flowers above. I'll try to blend that in a little bit. And then maybe we'll do a little blue over here for the background. Now what I try to do here is blue and green, and I'm negative shade painting the table. So I'm doing the background, which then it describes the tabletop here. So I'll mix in some red, kind of just, I'm using the same colors that I used in the bouquet for the behind the table. And I just mix in some colors, a little splashing. And this is more just having fun. We're having fun, we're watercolor artists. It's a fun medium. So, try to use the repeating colors that we had, purple, cerulean blue, raw umber. And then we can go right into the vase area. And then I dry off my brush a little bit and then just kind of lightly dab and kind of swirl a little bit just to create that background color. That'll really make the table become, you know, full of light, and it just looks great. Maybe a little more blue over here. I dab around, have fun. A little bit of splashing, maybe a little bit of orange, that warm orange color. But I do that carefully and just a couple dabs here and there. I don't want to keep painting and painting over everything, and like it looks good just kind of dabbed on a little bit and scrubbed a little bit, not too much overworking, I think. And that looks pretty good. So I think we have a good I will do a little more green over here. So I'm pretending that there's some shadows over here on this side of the painting. From the flowers. And this side's a little lighter, so the right side's a little lighter. And this side over, the left side over here is a little darker. I just added a little more blue there for the shadowing. Cobalt and French ultramarine. And then just ever so slightly, a little bit of the shadowing underneath that vase where it tapers up toward the top of the vase. So that sometimes can like look good too. And I think looks good. I think we're pretty much completed. All right, so we could do a little more. I think I see maybe over here, this center of the vase looks where I did this here. Let me go with some blue, French ultramarine blue, sap green, burnt umber. And I think I'm just going to do a couple more. In the center here, I thought there might be a little more, and I think I might do some, I might take a little white, titanium white. Although I think the best thing is let's let this dry. We'll just do one more break for like 10 minutes. And then I'm just going to take some titanium white with a little bit of yellow ochre in it. And I'm just going to tap in a couple splashes of titanium white on this area here, this green area. That green area looks a little bit like it could use a little sprucing up. We might even, maybe we'll put some more flowers in this area. So I think we'll do that. We'll add some more color over here on this center section. So another thing with watercolor is you can always take a break, walk away, come back 15 minutes later, and then reassess what's happening on your painting. And then you say, oh, you know what? This area up here looks a little bit, you know, boring, or there's nothing there. It kind of didn't come out the way I wanted it. I want more color there. And that's what we'll do. We'll just add in a couple more colorful flowers up here, and we'll splash in a little bit of this white to make it look like some interesting, maybe some baby's breath or something, you know, and it'll look great. Okay, so we'll come right back in about 10 minutes. We'll let this dry, and then we'll get started again. Okay, so now we're going to finish up this painting. It's a lot of fun to do the last little bit of work to a painting. It's always a feeling like of relaxing and just enjoying those last few touches of a color and paints and just you know, kind of assessing everything. And so this is the fun part. And I think we're going to do that little bit of splashing with our titanium white over here, and a couple little dabs of color too. Maybe we'll do the titanium white first. So I'll take my titanium white. I'll take a little bit of a yellow ochre and just mix it into the top of the paint like that. And then if I have to add just a touch of water to the brush just to get it to splash. And not quite enough, a little more. It's a careful process of getting just the right amount of water onto the brush. There we go. So we'll do those splashes. And we can do them on other portions of the painting. Again, a little bit more. I put a little more water on my brush. This brush is I'm always careful not to put too much water. There we go. So it's just that little right spot. You always want to find that perfect, you know, bit of water and paint mixture. Not too much water. Just enough. There we go. Okay, so that's good. And a couple more spots here and there. Okay, so we have that. And then we can do, you know, maybe a couple, we'll use some cadmium yellow. Just a couple dabs of color is going to look just perfect. Here and there, like that. Already it's looking really much more lively and interesting. And then some red, so we cadmium red, a little bit of alizarin crimson. And we'll put another couple of wildflowers there, one small one. So I always do like try to keep things non-symmetrical. So a large flower, then a smaller flower there. Maybe another like that. And a little bit wider at the top. Like that. And I think that looks good. going to tend to say that's enough to have a little bit of color in there. Like we said, it was a little bland, not looking so great. We added some yellow, some red, looks good. We don't want to keep working on it too much. We want to try to, and we can always come back 15 or 20 minutes later, take another break and look and say, okay, I might do like 1 or 2 more little flowers in there, but we don't want to keep going on and on. That's the thing. I think it's good to kind of stop our painting a little bit short of feeling like we need to do more. And that's kind of usually the perfect spot. Like I feel like I want to add some more flowers in here, but I hold back and say, let me just stop a little bit short of adding a little more to it, because I think that might look a little better. If I stop at that point and don't add any more, that tends to be the right spot to let the painting just be as it is, and it doesn't get overworked, so it stays fresh looking and not too busy and complicated. And this is a very complicated flower arrangement too. A lot of interesting things going on in there, so I think it's just right. And we'll take the tape off here. And again, I always mention, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We do paintings every week, and we do flower paintings, landscapes, seascapes, still life paintings, figure paintings. So we kind of do everything, and we just kind of mix it up here on my channel, Chris Petri. And I also have another channel, Watercolor in 5. That's also a channel I sometimes do some interesting things on palettes and paints, what I use for paper, palettes, brushes, all that kind of thing. So that's an interesting channel too that I have on YouTube. But this channel here is always the same. We do 1 painting every week. Sometimes we'll do maybe 2 in a week, but that's usually rare. I usually do a painting every weekend, and we get together. And if you subscribe, you'll be alerted when we have a new painting coming out on the weekends. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll definitely get the message. It'll send a message to your electronic device, letting you know we're just made a new painting, a new video. And we're gonna just zoom in a little bit on this. I'll just move this over a touch here. And okay, so that's the finished painting. I'm glad you stopped by to paint with us, and we'll have fun. We'll come back next week. We'll do another painting. We'll have a great time. Everyone be well, and happy painting. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye. Okay, welcome. This is Chris Petri. Thanks for coming by. I'm glad you're here, and we're going to paint together. We're going to have a fun time painting this bouquet of flowers, some wildflowers, daisies, some lilac flowers. We have some nice, beautiful greens, some buttercups. We have some interesting subject matter here. Flowers are always beautiful to paint. I know many of you really enjoy the flower videos that we do here, so I'm really excited that you're coming by, and we're going to work on this. So this is just the finished painting. If you want to pause and work from this video, the beginning of this video, that's fine. You could take a picture, screen capture, however you want to do it, but this is really the best way to work along with my videos, is to work from this finished painting, and that's why I'm putting them now, the finished paintings, in the beginning of the videos. You'll have so much more fun, and it'll be easier to paint if you have this reference painting to paint from. So you would draw from this. You can also stop the video on the end of the sketching portion of this video and use that as your guide to do your pencil drawing, your contour drawing. And then you can again come back and stop your video on this painting, finish painting, and then work from this to do your painting portion. So that usually works out pretty good. You have your pencil drawing and your finished painting, both you can work from. And that's the best route to go. I personally would probably watch the video full through one time and then come back and then stop it on the section where there's the pencil drawing and work from that. And then once you're finished with the pencil drawing, using my pencil drawing as a guide, then you can come back and either use the painting at the end of the video or this painting here now, which is the finished painting too as well, in the beginning of the video to work from. As far as your paints, you'll be able to see the paint colors a lot better, so you'll kind of be able to know what colors I'm using by just looking at the finished painting. All right, so we're going to get into the video now, and thanks again for coming by, and we'll get started.